Okay, so welcome back, everyone. I am so excited to have Janae, Dr. Gant, join me on. I'm really excited, obviously. Join this powerful conversation as we dive into the life of Joanna. She actually chose Joanna.
Mhm.
Um, Joanna is a woman of faith, provision, and bold discipleship. She may not be the most well known figure in the Bible, but her faithfulness, generosity, and courage played a crucial role in Jesus' ministry. And so she's definitely important for us to talk about on today. And Janae and Nay, they're the same person. I just use them all, right? But I want to know first and foremost, like, what made you choose Joanna?
So honestly, I learned about Joanna through The Chosen. I watched The Chosen, and of that, I've learned a lot of different characters in the Bible, which made me say, okay, now I really want to fact check and see if these are true. So, which led me to doing more reading and more just studying in the Bible. And then, if you don't know, she's really in there. So, if we read in Luke, she's in Luke, she's in John, like she's there. So, um, I don't know how she went missing, but it's beautiful that we get to
Mm,
do things like this, how you have this platform to highlight these women who are often gone unknown, but who play a
absolutely.
really vital role in Jesus's ministry. So I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, because you chose her, I'm gonna let you kind of lead the conversation how you want, but just kind of give an outline. We're going to explore tonight how Joanna's faith led her to boldly follow Jesus. The power of God gave me this at the last minute, the power of being connected to the right people and strong
Mm,
sisterhood. And
mhm,
so obviously you're the perfect person for this conversation. What her story teaches us about using our resources for God's kingdom
mhm,
and how we can apply these lessons our own faith journey to our own faith journey today. So we are going to get ready to engage, reflect, and be inspired as we uncover the legacy of Joanna. And I know, like Nate said, like where did she go? Like how do we not know about her? She is there, but I think that there's so many women of the Bible, and we focus more so on the men, right? And so
mhm.
again, hey, God is great because then it allows us to have these types of conversations. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and take the floor.
Well, I don't want to take it, share this with you, but
Yes, yes.
no, so anyways, I love Joanna's story because I don't know that she comes from faith, if that makes sense. She comes from money, right? She's part of Harold's court. She comes from money, and most people in that status, they have their own thoughts and beliefs. But I think what kind of led her to Christ is more so John the Baptist. He was supposed
Mm,
to come before Christ and spread the word. And I think that his presence and the way he went about things kind of sparked some like curiosity for a lot of people, Harold included. Like who is this person? And he's spreading these things. Is there really truth to them? Right. And I think
yeah.
this sparked a lot of curiosity for her and many others. But I don't know, based on just the Bible and what I've read, I don't know if it was, I don't know that she truly came alive until after John the Baptist really kind of put Harold business on blast, right? It kind of exposed him and his corruption, right? And what he was doing was
Absolutely.
wrong. So
Right.
of course she's in this court, so she's firsthand and she can see everything, so she's exposed to all of this wrongness and this corruption, this injustice. And it took for her to say, like, I'm not, maybe what we're doing is not so right. So then she started, like, I think John kind of piqued her interest in his message. And then, when
Mm,
you're around something that's going wrong, it. We might not agree with it, but I mean, that's just a part of the lifestyle. So you feel like,
yeah.
keep going. I just got to not say anything. I'm gonna just keep going on. And, women during that time often didn't have voices to say, I'm not going to do this.
Absolutely.
Right. Because then I'm going to be shamed and now I'm out and I don't have any money. You just think of all of these different things. And during that time, but thank God for John the Baptist because he did pique her interest in, that's what I said, I think, which led her. to see Christ and kind of discover her own understanding. Like she heard about it, but now it's like, well, let me see if this is really real. If it's
Yeah.
true to this. And I think once Jesus had grown his presence, because he was under wraps for a while, right? He mentioned multiple times it wasn't his time to come out until his mom kind of pushed him, as we talked about this Monday, with the first miracle, which was the wine, right? He wasn't ready until then. So once I think he gained his presence and then his reputation in Galilee, then it kind of piqued her interest a little more. Like, okay, so now we kind of seeing what John is saying. Is it true? Do he hold some truth to what he's saying? And I think that's kind of how her faith journey kind of started, which is kind of beautiful because a lot of people right now in today's society have it's all of these different religions, all of these things being said. So we're just trying to like minimize the noise and find our own path. And I feel like that's kind of what she did. And that's what I love about her, is that you can become lost in this big world with all of this stuff and this noise going around you, but you have to find ways to fine tune it and quiet everything and then find your own path. And I believe that's what she did. At least that's what I got out of her story.
And just to back up a little bit, she is first mentioned in Luke 8:1-3.
Yeah.
And so it says, soon afterwards, he began going around, and he has in Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Began going around from one city and village to another, proclaiming and preaching the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him, and also some women who had been healed of evil spirits and sicknesses. Mary, who was called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had gone out, and Joanna, the wife of Chuza, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many others who were contributing to their support out of their private means, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not only were these women just walking around and hearing about Jesus and like what he was doing, but they were supporting his ministry.
He was supporting it. She was giving resources to him.
Yes. And she left home traveling with Jesus. So I was listening to a video and they said hers isn't a Cinderella story. So, sometimes, many stories in the Bible is Jesus is like, give up all of this stuff and follow me. And, and then they gained even more. It's like she was already up there, right? So she could have said, I'm comfortable. I'm in Herod's palace. I am a woman of status. I have money. My man can run things, right? But she heard about Jesus. And not only did she hear about Jesus, she was personally, so we don't know specifically if it was she was delivered from illnesses or the demons were cast out, but either way, she was healed. And so Jesus healed her and opened her eyes, and she's like, I need to be connected to this, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is so amazing, like leaving the comfort of our own home, of the comfort of our thoughts or the journey that we have for ourselves, and really being like, all right, Jesus, I see what you can do. I've heard about you. I want to, not only do I choose to follow you, but I'm going to support your ministry. And it just says, that was very unconventional for women at the time, because women were seen to be at home, taking care of your family, taking care of the children, if you had any. And so that is just so amazing that it's not like she was there just being a servant, or just like, I want to be connected to you, but she was still influential. So though she left that home, where she was comfortable, she was still influential in the sense that, whatever her finances did to contribute to Jesus' ministry allowed them to continue.
I'm sure hugely. When he wasn't like taking up offerings, and I just think of Judas, but he wasn't taking up offerings. He wasn't trying to like take from people. He wasn't looking for anyone to give him something for me to bless you, So, sometimes we know that they had to camp out and things of that nature. So her blessings, whatever it was, whether it's small or large, her contributions definitely helped out, I'm sure.
Yes. God is great, man. Because again, sometimes we just limit, women and what their abilities are, or
Mhm.
how they were connected to Jesus, or any of that. And
Yeah,
it's just like, no, she was alongside with them. And
yeah.
then we also find that her being a faithful witness. So not only was she healed and witnessed too, but she was a faithful witness. So we find in Luke 24, 9 through 11, and it says, and returned from the tomb and reported all these things to the 11. Well, I want to back up just a little bit. So, they went to the tomb, because they were there at the crucifixion,
Mhm.
and so they witnessed like someone that they love so
Yeah.
much being killed for being a good person, right?
Mhm.
And then she could have been, all right, I'm out of there. Like,
Mhm.
you gone, I'm gone too.
Mhm.
But she stayed around. She ensured that, because they were basically back then paying reverence, right? And so they gather like spices and things like that to take to the tomb. And so
Mhm.
that's where this goes, where it's the 24 verse 9 through 11, and
Mhm.
returned from the tomb and reported all these things to the 11 and to all the rest. Now they were Mary Magdalene, and Joanna, and Mary the mother of James. Also the other women with them were telling these things to the apostles. And then verse 11, but these words appeared to them as nonsense, and
Mhm.
they would not believe them. And so I just thought that was funny as well, the just how we can kind of dismiss anyone that can seem to be unlikely to
Yeah.
to give a message, right? So in here we're talking about, women and being a follower and actually going out, and going to the tomb and saying like Jesus is not there no more.
I think too, even if we just slowly like back up just a bit, just realizing her influence and where now I feel like we're like talking about a woman, but we're talking about a woman with money. You're talking about someone with high status, right? Who don't have to sleep on the ground, who don't have to want or need any. I have servants, and I'm giving all of this up. She gave
Yeah.
it up. It's not like you could go back to that. You know what I mean? I think that's like the real thing to understand is once she gave that up, you cannot just go back like, well, I'm sorry, Harold, my bad. No, there is no my bad. You don't get to come back. There is no one more chance or second chance. So just thinking about all of the things she gave up. And when we talk about faith or understand faith, that's huge because we're
That
given
is.
a life of comfort and of
Mm,
status. And that's what people during this time, even now, people want to live and have this certain status. Do you see really people like, I'm giving it all up just to follow Jesus, and I am giving like I don't need anything. Forget all of that. I think
yeah.
that's huge for her. And if we want to understand faith, I think Joanna is a great person to look at, given the fact
Mm.
that she has so much to give up
I
during
love
this time.
that.
It meant a lot. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely.
Like
Because that's her wealth is what she had.
her
Uh,
protection.
that was her livelihood and everything,
Right.
you
No
know.
Romans is gonna come harm her because they were with her. That was her protection. They were governing her. So there now I'm out here really on my own. When you talk about I need faith right now to cover me,
Yeah.
that the Romans can't do, I need like she sought after that kind of faith. I think that's so big because we don't see
Yeah.
all that right now happening.
Yeah. And I love that because one of the questions you already answered it. What do you think it cost her socially, politically, or personally? So it cost her her
Awesome.
livelihood. It cost her her marriage, as far as we
Yeah,
knew, right?
yeah.
Because it didn't say that her husband went along with her. She
Oh
was
no.
gone,
I mean, she just
you
her.
know?
Mhm,
Yeah. And then politically, she couldn't go back to the life that she
mhm.
lived, to the comforts. And
Yeah.
so is this another question? How does this challenge how we use our own resources for God's work? And
I
I
mean,
think, mhm.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But if anything, when I say like when I think of this question, I wonder like how I just put myself in it. What am I doing right to spread God's word? And if the smallest thing that I could have done is create a Growing in Grace page, right? So we can
Yeah.
spread His word that way. Created a Bible study, but it started from my own thirstiness of wanting to know God's word. Like I was thirsty for His knowledge. I wanted to know. How should I behave? How should I conduct myself as a woman of faith? What does
Mm.
that look like, Lord? Tell me. I was really in a space where I was ready to give up all of everything, like give up my
Mm.
own knowledge, right? Like what I thought, like just to like retrain myself and like
Yeah.
reposition myself as a woman of faith, and not just me out here doing things on my own and just living, on my own, doing things, and I'm making my own decisions and not seeking guidance
Yeah.
from that. So I look at
Yeah.
her in the same way. Like for her, what she taught me is to use the platforms that I have. I might not have a million followers and things like that, but baby, my little 100 go a long way. Okay, we at like 138 though. It means a lot to me that people
I
are.
love that. We have 138, and that's
I mean,
it.
God says, look, all he wanted was one, okay? We
Yeah.
don't have to have many. And I'm not looking for status from this, and I'm not trying to gain anything from him and sharing his word. That's the only thing that I am charged to do, is just to share. Now, whoever want to listen will
Yes.
listen, right? Whoever want to join the Bible study will join. But even if I just had my 5 friends who started this with me, or 6 of us who's there, that's all right with me. Because guess what? We're doing a thing. We're
Yeah.
doing his work. We're doing his will,
Yes.
and that's all I'm charged to do. Now, we get other
Yes.
people to listen. That's amazing, right? So, if anything, what I have to do is use the resources I have right now. I have my voice, I have my knowledge, and I'm continuing to learn. I don't know everything, but what can I do? I just can share it, and that's exactly what I feel like I'm doing.
Yes.
Other women are showing me in the Bible that we can do too.
Yes. Um, so just like Joanna, because I love that you mentioned this, but just like Joanna, you had a moment, a life-changing moment, whatever that moment was, where you was just like, I need to change some things. Like I need to get closer. Like, who is this Jesus, right? Who is this Jesus? Like, yeah, I heard about him, but like I need to experience him.
Yeah.
So before moving forward, like, I mean, what are some even like practical steps in like getting to know Jesus, like starting from like just point one? Like what can we do?
So for me, okay, background. I received my second master's from Cal Baptist. So it's a Christian university, right? Faith based. So everything we did before we even started class, there was a prayer, right? Every paper we wrote, we had to integrate the Bible perspective into that paper. So
Mm,
I'm studying social work, and I'm like, how am I supposed to connect the two? Like, no, it don't make sense. I don't know. Um, but that is kind of where I started. Like,
wow.
it's funny because it feels like as a kid we are told you're going to church, right? As an adult, we make the choice to go to church. So
Yeah.
as an adult, I chose to say I'm not going to just treat this as an assignment to turn in, but I'm gonna treat it as my assignment. This is God saying this is your assignment to get to know me as an adult. Like we know him, and I was even in the church, but I don't know that my relationship, the intimacy, was truly there until now.
Mm,
Like we are intimate. We know each other. You know me. I believe he knows my heart. Like I am so hungry to read and to know things on my own and not just to lean on to other people. But it took for me to be kind of like slapped up in that situation.
mm.
I was going to the school not knowing truly like this is what school and how the structure of the classes was going to go.
Wow.
So even though people around me still was in that same situation, doesn't mean that we had the same outcomes because everybody
Yeah.
has been an assignment, right? For me, it hit differently. So once
Wow.
I was able to start saying I had to read. So once I'm reading and then I kind of got to know him differently for myself, then my
Yeah.
prayer began to increase. And then as my
Yes.
knowledge began, then I started like seeking different and questioning certain things like, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? Where is this? Um, that's where it all started for me. So if I'm gonna start ground like from the bottom, if I'm talking to somebody who's like, where do I begin? I would just open a book, open it up,
Mm.
just start reading. Um, just like and I know I looked online to find some Bible studies that I can like audio. Really, is more audio.
Yeah.
I wanted to read the Bible. That was my challenge for myself. So audio, I'm like, I can hear it. Sometimes I can't read the Bible. It's a lot and I'm not understanding. So I found a Bible study online that helped me break down the Bible. Like she read it word for word, didn't skip a beat, but then broke it down into like
Yeah.
terms for me to understand it. And then I began to personalize it, where I'm not looking at the book as like characters, but these are like ancestors. And I remember looking at something the other day, and it was like, sorry, we're kind of moving from Joanna, but looking at it like when we are reading the Bible, if you truly understand when God wiped everything out and then Noah came back, right? And Noah like took over, we are descendants of his three, right? And it just like, oh my God. You only
Mm.
have these three males here who is three sons, right? And they all kind of split and then they procreated, right? And I just was like, that's so beautiful because now it just makes me feel a little bit more connected to the Bible. I look at these individuals not as characters, like I mentioned, but like as my ancestors. These are people. This is how we're here. Like I get to learn Jesus's his lineage and what does that look like, and it just makes you hungry to say, well, who's mine? You know, and where do I fit into all of this?
I love that. I love that. And I'm sure that Joanna had that same hunger and thirst too, right?
I believe it.
Um yeah, just being able to hear Jesus like on the first accounts of
Yeah.
what he was going through and being able to, you know, I feel like there was some inquisition, like, you know, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's next? You know, she
Mhm.
sees some stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that that's beautiful, but there was a hunger and a thirst. And as you were saying, like just happenstance, you going to Cal Baptist, not even realizing exactly all it entailed,
Yeah.
that God is great and he used that. And so I want
Mhm.
to kind of pivot for the power of connection and sisterhood. And so we kind of you kind of mentioned growing in grace. Growing in grace really started. It's our I wouldn't even say it's just limited to a Bible study. It's a movement.
Mhm.
And Janae just she originally we were just going to talk about her devotion that you can actually also purchase, and so we can shout out that as well. But we were just going to talk about that, and then all of a sudden we were just talking, and it's like I want to talk about this and this, and it's been going for some months,
Mhm.
and it
Right?
wasn't this
Almost a
big
year.
old almost oh my gosh, and it wasn't this thing where we had to take time
Mhm.
to plan and plan and plan because so many times we plan so much that we don't actually do the work,
Do it.
right?
Mhm.
And so I think that that's even with me. I know we're moving forward, but going back just a little bit and encouraging people, like how can we use, like how can you use your voice or your resources to spread the gospel? And for me, whether I'm posting something on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, and two people watch it, that's what it is. Like you
Mhm.
cannot be discouraged, or if you're just not even on social media but talking to your family and friends,
Yeah.
you know, praying for people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be on the corner with a bullhorn and a sign, but I'm just saying, like, use your personality, use your means, whatever that looks like for you. Joanna
Yeah.
used her means of finances and her faith
Mhm.
and like her political power, right? So
Yeah.
with her having political power, she was smart and she knew
Mhm.
where to go, what to do, who to be connected to, who to
Mhm.
ask what to. And we all have that as well. And
Yeah.
so that just means, so Jesus was connected to Joanna, and Joanna was connected to Jesus and the
Mhm.
disciples and Mary and
Yeah.
Susanna, and you know, and so being connected to the right people shapes your faith journey in growing in grace. And then even Keitha last week with the Anchor Sisters, just getting together with people, sitting
Yeah.
down, reading the Bible, talking
But
about the Bible.
not judging because we all come from different stories, and I feel like Joanna is a great example of that. She didn't she didn't come with the same faith as everybody else, right? She came from this other world, you know, and had to give up all of that, her way of thinking, her understanding of how she should carry herself, and humbled herself to follow Christ. So I feel like when we are coming into our circle, when we are doing our ministries and trying to connect, like to accept people, and I'm gonna take this social work to meet people where they are, right?
Yeah.
We can't want more. We just meet them and give them as much as they need until they feel like, okay,
Yes.
I want more. And I feel like that's exactly what Joanna started with John the Baptist, just listening to hearing what he's saying, right? And then
Yeah.
her interest, and then it kind of like, okay, I want more. So that's why I find the beauty in Christ, because he didn't be like, okay, no, 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 You are not of like, you're not, she wasn't Jewish, right? She didn't come with that same background, but he still opened, of course he did with everybody, he
Yeah.
opened his arms to her. And that's what I think a beautiful sisterhood looks like. It's not just all of us in the same place. We're all in different places and we're learning from each other. That's the beauty in all of that.
Yeah. So the right people will push us closer to God, and the wrong people will keep us in bondage um to comfort and worldly values. And every, like you said, everyone is different, but we're all learning and growing together with a mindset of like, let me read my Bible more. Let me
Mhm.
talk about my Bible more. Let me
Mhm.
talk to this person and see what they saying.
Yeah.
Let me ask for prayer
Yeah.
because it's a struggle today. Like there's so many different ways, but we're connected. And so I know if I need to send a message in our group chat, I need y'all to pray for me. I have those people.
Yeah.
So Joanna was not alone. She was a part of a community of women who've traveled with Jesus,
Yeah.
and supported his ministry. So we go back to Luke 8:1-3, and we were able to see that. And these women stood by each other. They shared their resources and they uplifted one another in their mission to serve Christ.
Yeah.
And so the lesson in that is we need a strong circle of faith-filled women who
Yeah.
encourage and support us. Sisterhood
Absolutely.
in Christ means praying together, serving together, and holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
Was really important. So for me, for years, I prayed like, okay, God, I want people that I can trust, that I can have Bible study with, that I can hang out with, that aren't judging me or feeling like, oh, because she don't do this. Like, no, but just how can I connect to people? And I had yearned for it so much. And so praying together, serving together, and holding each other accountable is so important because I don't know if you've ever seen this, whether it's on social media or just out and about, and not necessarily judging them, but it's like she don't have no friends, or he doesn't have any friends. They don't have nobody to tell them like, baby, that's not right. You shouldn't do this. Or
Mm-hmm.
let me pray for you.
Yeah.
Right. Or let me empower you.
Yeah.
There's so much more. You
Yeah.
can do better than this, right? When you
Yeah.
are surrounding yourself with people who are holding, each other accountable. Like, well, I'm not just be like, oh, you're going to hell. It's like this. You know this ain't right. Like, let's come together and pray. I definitely think that's how you build a
Yeah.
sisterhood. And so I
Definitely
can
through
hear
your
some.
action. I mean,
Mhm.
your approach, right? The way you approach these people, because everybody, like, for me, I know it. I was really sensitive when it came to talking about like church and religion. I didn't want to. Don't call me religion. I mean religious. It was really hard because of church hurt, right? So I've experienced things that people don't even know about that I don't share because it's painful. Like, why do I want to talk about it? So just understanding those things and trying to overcome those things, and most don't understand what people are going through and why people might shy away. So just being compassionate in our approach will go a long way in helping other people learn, like, or see like, hey,
Yeah.
that's not right yet. Come back, sis. I think it's all
Yeah,
in the delivery and how we,
it
approach
is.
certain things.
I
Right
love that
now,
you said the church hurt. Go ahead. I love that though.
I was gonna say right now in social work, our big thing right now is compassion in action, right? So just being compassionate in our delivery and in things we do. And when you said earlier, it made me think of that because, like, what are we doing with all of this, right? And how we really sharing and using what we understand, I mean, our knowledge and things like that, and then putting it into action, really going out and doing the thing. I think that's where I'm struggling. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Okay.
struggling a lot there. Like, I have these beautiful ideas, but I feel like it's always something. It's always
Mm.
something like, oh, it's like time, or I'm busy, or I'm trying, or I want this certain mic. I gotta order this mic. It's always something that stops me from
And you
really
on here talking. Do you have a mic?
no.
Okay. You're on here talking right now.
No, but it's like like I don't want to. It's not the word. I'm not going to use the right word, but I'm like you. Like, I don't. You told me this is what we're gonna do. Like, hey, they do it, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna tell my friend. No, of course I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I'm gonna support her. So I feel like it's like me showing up for you, but I don't show up for me. So I
Mm.
need to start doing
Well,
more.
let's pause right there because Jesus showed up. I mean, Jesus showed up for Joanna. Joanna showed up for Jesus.
Yeah.
Um, I'm thankful that you showed up for me.
Oh,
I'm thankful that you are here because I'm riding with you like 10 toes
always,
down, right?
always.
Um, but like I said earlier, sometimes we can plan so much that the plan never get off the paper.
Mhm.
I think so, and we not gonna get too much into imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
but the imposter syndrome can affect us in so many ways, and just making us feel that what God um puts in our heart is not enough because maybe somebody else is doing it and somebody else is doing it better. And I'm gonna say what imposter syndrome is because you never want to like assume people know, but imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon, is a behavioral health issue that causes people to doubt their skills, accomplishments, and intellect. And it can manifest as persistent feeling of self-doubt and fear of being exposed as a fraud. So, and instead of being imposed as a fraud, it can be exposed as like just not knowing enough,
Yeah.
right? People with imposter syndrome may believe they are undeserving of their achievements and the high regard they receive. In relationships, it can lead to feeling of being unworthy of love and affection. And so let's just take a moment and think about Joanna and if she had imposter syndrome and what that would look like today. We wouldn't be talking about her.
Yeah.
So what if she was like, whether she was healed, whatever she was healed of, right? But what if she said, like, he had to heal me from this thing? I'm not good
I'm not
enough.
gonna go to him. I'm not gonna go. I'm not worthy because I'm up here, and he's talking to a lot of people who were not at that same status. A lot of people he healed was blind, they're dead, they're on the street, they're poor, like that was his goal was to feed the needy, right?
Yes.
All the way up here, I don't need all of what the same healing as those who may be down here. So what if I'm not worthy of him? That's what
Or
when
what
I
are they gonna think about me?
right. Then I'm like, you don't need him, like I can I'm already thinking all of these things that people
Because
could.
it's real. It's real. If Joanna had imposter syndrome after she was healed from Jesus, she would not have connected with the other women and been a follower of him, or have used her skills, her knowledge, her finances to support him.
Mm-hmm.
If she had imposter syndrome, she would have said, like you said, he doesn't need me. He healed me of this thing.
Hmm.
What who am I? Who am I?
Right.
No. And
Right.
so going back to your imposter syndrome, whether you have a microphone or not, and this is not just you specifically, right? This is to me, this is to anybody else. Like right now, I could be looking at who's viewing this. It don't matter. God put this in my heart, and I have to step out and do it because, like I said, imposter syndrome and it can cause us to overthink, and
Yeah.
then we're pausing and we're not making any moves.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have all of these amazing ideas in your head. Write them things down and we
Yeah.
just pray over them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it might not also be the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe see,
So,
that helps me. Maybe it's just not the time.
but we're not making excuses though, right? And,
Yeah,
and
I'm just
so,
feeling like I need it to be perfect, and that's the
yeah,
perfectionist person in my brain. That's that um compulsiveness that I
yeah,
have, right? Um, but yeah, and that's why I'm telling you, like I'm leaning so far on him, and why I love Joanna that she's showing me like if you just step out, give up, like don't worry about what was, what things could be like,
yeah. What you didn't
I'm doing
do,
it. Yep, I'm doing
just
this.
do
And
it.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
leaving everything behind, all my safety net, right?
Oh
I
man.
am going out, and I'm stepping out on faith, and I'm stepping in.
Because again, Joanna left her safety net of
Yeah,
a husband in a
yeah,
nice palace. And you know what I mean?
yeah,
Good food.
yeah.
She was eating bread and fishes or
I
whatever
did,
Jesus
yeah.
was giving the
And
crowds. You feel me?
it's so crazy that it's just so beautiful that Jesus could have had everything. He could have made his own palace. He could have been cozied up and doing everything too, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. So I feel like Joanna kind of looked at it too, like all of this means nothing, right? It
Yeah.
was deeper to be with him than to have all of that. It meant more. So
Yes.
And right
Yeah.
now for me, like, yeah, I'm learning to give up that way of thinking to allow him to change me, change my mind, you know.
I
Create
mean,
me.
and we also need to acknowledge that we have
Yeah.
been with
Oh, mhm.
ourselves for 38 years, right?
I'm 37.
Um, you'll be 38 in a couple of days.
I'm
I
still
ain't
young.
even. I'm saying 38 because I got 2 more months. But listen, we've been this way for so long. The
Yeah.
trauma that we've been exposed to,
Yeah.
the things that have let us down, our upbringing, all of these things, we have to really take into account on why we're thinking the way that we are now. Or if you open up social media and you see all of the glitz and the glamour and the followers and this and so it's not that we're just like randomly coming up with this stuff. It's like this is what we see. But ultimately, that's why it was so important. And I'm going back to the connections because I'm pretty sure Joanna could have been like one day, oh, Mary, sis, go without me. My feet hurt. And Mary could have been like, no, we going. Let's continue to go, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a purpose. We have
Hmm.
a purpose, and our purpose is to remain connected to each other and be connected to Jesus as we are supporting him, right? And
Yeah.
so, even looking at that as today, our connection to Jesus and our way of supporting Jesus is getting out there,
Yeah.
not limiting ourselves, not having all of these glamorous, wonderful ideas that the Lord has put it in our hearts to do, but finding the time to do it because we really find time for whatever we want, honestly. If we
Yeah.
got to stay up real late or wake up
Yeah.
real early to do it, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, on a lunch break or whatever, you
Yeah.
have 2 master's degrees and a doctorate. Like, are you kidding me?
Mhm.
With being a mama and working full time. You know what I mean? We have the
Those
the
are comforts.
resources. Those
Those
are
are really comforts and easy for me. Like school is easy to
mm,
me, you know? So it's like I know how to do it. So I don't have to think
yeah,
about it, you know, when it's like doing something new. That's what kind
yeah,
of like scares me. But I'm sticking with Joanna. So if I have to like try to figure out what a takeaway for her would be for me, for any other beautiful woman out there, is to seek out your truth, right? Seek out what it is that you want to do, even if it's unpopular, right? And even if it's convenient, like let go of that, because we all know we can't grow in convenience. We can't grow in comfort, right? You got to get uncomfortable to grow. We got to fail to grow. So I think that's always my thing, is just feeling like I don't want to fail at this. I don't want to
yeah,
do it wrong.
yeah,
But as we mentioned, you mentioned this a couple times, and I think it's even on this slide here, is that she's bold. So we're gonna have to learn
yeah.
to be bold, um, and step out on faith, and then do the thing. So I hope
I
that
love it.
I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna do the thing.
Help us, Lord. Help us, Lord. Sisterhood gives us the courage to walk in our purpose and to share God's truth. So we need women of faith who remind us to speak boldly, trust God, and stand firm in our calling. And what you all just saw was a regular conversation between me and Nay about like, girl, get over yourself. Like, let's get this done. All right, just do it. Like I remember she told me make something on Canva. And I was just like, I don't know how. And she like, just do it. So getting outside of our comfort zones, not focusing on whether or not we're going to fall or fail, but just figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
Joanna didn't fully know how her life was going to change. She just knew her life needed to change the
Mm,
trajectory of her destination. It
mhm.
needed to change from being here and being this woman of power and going to all of these nice events to like walking in the dust. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
In the different weather with Jesus and being connected because she realized that yeah, I have all of these resources that I can provide, but he's the source.
Yeah. Walking with
He's the
a
source.
target on your back. Because walking with him, you
Absolutely.
were a target, you know? Like I left this situation. So you already know you're a target. You already look like a traitor or whatever they would have called her. Because I'm sure she had some rude name given to her after she left, right? And then now
Absolutely.
you're walking with this imposter, because that's what they called
Mm,
him. Like, you ain't the real Messiah. Prove it. Prove it. You know, put you on this cross and show me. Get down. tell your dad to get you down. Get out. You know what I mean? They did all of
Yeah.
these things. So yeah, that's faith, and that is again her just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And that's how I am right now. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do
So, I, we're holding you accountable. This is recorded.
it.
And we're here. I mean, we're connected. We're, the right connections lead to purpose. So it is just really important. And I would say anybody that's watching, and then for both of us too. So identify one person in your life who strengthens your faith, and one person you can
Mhm.
encourage this week. Because it's a transactional thing. Relationships are
Yeah.
very transactional. And if we're all just giving and not receiving anything, then, that leads to burnout. But one person in your life who strengthens your faith, let that person know too, right? And stay connected to them. And also one person that you can connect um this week. And then we can all ask God to surround us with the right people who are going to sharpen our faith. So as Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And so we have about 20 minutes left. It's gonna go really fast. I wanted to just how are we applying Joanna's story to today's world? And I know that we've kind of spoken on that too. But it's using our influence for God's kingdom. And we can use our influence again in just the day to day, how
Yeah.
we show up at work, how we show up at home, you know what I mean? How we respond to situations. Again, we don't have to walk, and this is no shade to nobody who does this, but we don't have to walk around with a Bible in our hand everywhere we go, right?
Yeah.
We could be a reflection of God in any environment. And so Joanna had connections in high places, yet she used them for Jesus' mission rather than personal gain. So
Mhm.
are we using our positions, our connections, and platforms to glorify God? And then giving generously to God's work. Joanna gave financially and served physically by
Mhm.
traveling with Jesus. I know sometimes
Yeah.
people are like, well, I can't do this because I don't have the money. Figure out something else. It's not just limited to money, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you only have enough to pay your rent. What else can
Yeah.
be done? Giving is not just about money, it includes our time, our talents, and our service.
Yeah.
Of course, right now we're on some sort of devices, on some sort of Wi Fi connection,
Mhm.
right? But at the end of the day, this is just taking time out of our day to talk about Jesus in hopes that somebody will take one thing from this to push them further, or even just listening. I don't know about Joanna, and say like, thank God for watching this video. Then we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so just being able to focus on the right things, because we focus
Right.
so much on the wrong things, but
Yeah.
also boldly sharing the good news. So
Yeah.
Joanna did not stay silent after witnessing the resurrection. She went back and told them, and what's so beautiful is they didn't believe her. Like Peter had to run and find out for himself, right? But they didn't
Always.
believe her. And I'm
Always.
pretty sure she's like, nobody, she could have had those thoughts. Again, who am I? Or I'm just a
Yeah. Are
woman,
they going
or
to accept me? Yeah.
I'm coming to tell y'all can believe it or not, I'm here. I'm
Mhm.
going to tell
And
you,
she came in at a later time. It's not like she was at the beginning of this, right? She came in very much later when he already had disciples. He already had his team, right? His dream team. And she's like, hey, y'all, I want to come too, And they're like,
Yeah.
you are all the way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took some convincing. It took, I'm sure people like doubted her, but you remain faithful. Um, you mentioned something just a minute ago that sparked something for me that I wrote down that I wanted to. You said, "What can we tell someone else who don't know Joanna? How can women take away from this?" And one thing is, I'm gonna keep beating this horse. Is I wrote, "Faith may cost you comfort, but it will give you purpose." There's
Wow.
something beautiful in being uncomfortable, and it is something huge that I saw. Joanna's whole story is about this. I mean, we keep saying it over and over. We step out on faith. I think she was then able to live her purpose when she released herself from Harold's court and her husband, and the corruption and injustice that she saw and witnessed to this. I'm sure she saw people become John the Baptist. That's
Beheaded.
one person she had to see be killed, right? And then be like, you're just supposed to be okay with that and continue to drink your wine and eat your food and finish this party. That's not okay. You know, some people's spirit will get riled up. The right person's spirit will get riled up. Other people just kind of continue and be okay with that, like most did. And you seen her remove herself from that situation. So that's huge on her stepping out of her comfort to live in her purpose.
Can you just you spoke that first line a little too fast for me because I'm still trying to digest it. Can you read that again, please?
Yeah, I said faith might cost you comfort, but it will give you purpose.
Hmm. Dang. Faith might cost us our comfort.
Yeah. So if she didn't leave her royal comfort, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say she wouldn't be living? She probably would have just been there sad, like
Yeah.
stressed, depressed. What other
Like
things?
I know I should be doing more.
Right. Like I
I
just
know that there's more.
yeah, I'm feeling limited because I got to stay here and deal with this. And you feeling like you've seen all the injustices. You've seen a person you would like contemplating his words. Like I'm feeling something. He's talking and he's preaching, and I'm feeling something from it, which is kind of abnormal. And then you start believing, wanting to believe what he says. You have like this pull to him. And speaking of John the Baptist, and then you see him, his head on a platter at a party. And
Wow.
then everybody
Yeah.
around you is just keying about it. That don't feel good to most, you know. And God said only the right people, His people, will hear Him and see Him. Right? The
Yeah.
only His people will feel something. So clearly, she know there
Wow.
was some connection there. So yeah, I got to get up out of here, and that is my
Wow.
comfort. This is a royal comfort that I got to leave just to live this purpose that I know I'm being pulled to, and not really knowing, right? Because she didn't know, but I'm being pulled in this direction. So I need to chase
Yeah.
God, not status, not politics, not money, not convenience, you know?
Yeah. And giving up some of those comforts to in today's time can look like a job.
Yeah. And that's that's scary. That is so
That's
scary.
scary. A relationship,
Mhm.
friends
Friendships. Yeah.
that you know not pushing you in the right direction, people who are negatively influencing you, your favorite television show, your favorite, like movie. So, or your favorite social media influencer. These are the some of the comforts that we know, like this is not a reflection of Christ. Let me remove myself from those things, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything else on your notes that you wanted to share?
I mean, just right here on this same note, you mentioned like friends and social media, but it could be something small like
Oh yeah.
Starbucks for me. I started
Yeah.
putting too much into Starbucks. Like this is the only thing that's gonna get me through the day. Like I
Yeah.
need it. I need it. Right. And if you know me, you know I was there every day. That was like I started to sit back, like, are you idolizing this? Like that's kind of how it became. I had to sit back like,
Mm.
baby, this is not okay. You know, like everybody loves their coffee. I mean, coffee. And I'm not saying don't make yourself coffee, but it was like I had to go. If I didn't go, I don't know that my day would be good. Like I would feel like my day is feeling a little funky because I didn't do what I feel like I needed to. Like right. So just
Wow.
giving that up, and I gave that up during my fast, and which is current right now. But that's that to me. It's like giving up this comfort, and I feel like that made me happy. Like I always tell people, like we might do so much throughout the day, but do that one thing that makes you happy. At least you can make yourself happy. And that was like me telling my that was me like justifying my idol. Like it makes me happy.
Yes.
I feel like I find comfort in another way. So when I wake up, my morning looks different. It looks so different now because I find myself praying a lot more, worshiping a lot more. And I'm like, I didn't even need to go there. I just pass it up, don't even pay attention to it now. And I'm
Yeah.
like I didn't need that. And I kept telling myself and feeding myself that I needed to do this. And just those small things, like we can think like friends and things like that, but it could just be something like Starbucks or like this thing that you're truly idolizing that you might need to give up. So that's just
Wow.
just something practical.
Wow. Yes. 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 I'm reading some of the comments, and Kim and Lakeitha are like blowing them up, and I love it. The last thing that Kim said is God told me I was putting my kids before him.
Mm,
Wow. Wow. That's interesting right there. Because anything can be an idol.
Yeah,
Anything can be an
yeah,
idol.
yeah. Hmm.
Wow. Let's see. Faith might cost you comfort, but it will give you purpose. Did I quote that correctly? Yes, ma'am, you did. Faith might cost you comfort, but it will give you purpose. Yeah, I needed. Yeah, I needed that too. So, in conclusion, first of all, thank you, Nay, for being here. I
Oh,
love you so
love
much.
you.
I am so thankful that you were just willing to hold space with me
No.
and in this conversation. Because I mean I can be on here and do this by myself, but for what? Like it's not just about me. I'm just be talking to myself. But I will say, even being connected to the right people
Yeah,
sometimes means that you gotta step out by yourself first.
yeah,
You got to step out from the noise. You got to
yeah.
step out from, sometimes we be codependent, right?
Hmm.
When you
Yeah,
moving, I'm moving.
yeah.
And no. And so we have to remember that Joanna had to be disconnected from who she was
Hmm.
with to be connected to who God wanted her to be with,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so I need to tell myself, even if I'm hitting everybody in my phone up and nobody's available to come on here and talk with me, I got to do it because my connection first is with Christ and
Yeah.
then it's with everybody else,
Amen.
you know?
Yeah.
And so just us like, just remembering that.
Hmm.
So, um, in conclusion, this is an amazing conversation. Just remembering the impact that Joanna made through faith, boldness, and generosity.
Hmm.
Key takeaways from tonight: surround yourself with people who push you closer to Jesus.
Yeah.
Strong sisterhood and community makes all the difference in our faith journey. Use what God has given you, your gifts, resources, influence for His glory. Use your personality, use your voice, use your style of dress. Somebody, will comment and talk to you, right? And want to know, where did you get that from? And I'm telling you, God will put those people on our hearts just to give them a little simple prayer. And we're not even recognizing that a simple compliment can go a long way.
Absolutely.
Talking about like just, what if you just smile at someone?
Hmm.
What if you open a door? Like small things. We
Yeah.
think they have to be these huge, grand gestures, and God
Hmm.
want to use us in the small moments because somebody could just be like, "Don't nobody even see me? I feel invisible," and you like, "Oh, girl, your hair is cute. Do you
Hmm.
know you would change that woman's life?"
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, God is good, and your voice is a resource. Your
Yeah.
personality, your laughter is a resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be bold in your witness, just like Joanna was at the resurrection. And so, thank you all so much for joining this conversation. If this conversation blessed you, please like it and share it with other people. It's just an encouragement from not just for me, but somebody may need to hear this. And as we continue to grow in faith together, like none of us have made it, we're still all learning and growing. And I would love to know of your like biggest takeaways in the comments. And so we have 7 minutes, Janae. I just wanted to know if you could pray us out,
Oh.
and it could just be come on in the boldness, Lord. Use her with the boldness. But
Okay.
just pray us out with, for boldness, right? And then whatever else that God lays on your heart to pray for.
Okay. Well, thank you all for allowing me to be here and just move a little stuff here. All right. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for the quiet, powerful testimony of Joanna, a woman who chooses faith over fear, Lord, who turns over comfort and your kingdom over her own approval of the world, Lord. Lord, give me the courage to follow you boldly as Joanna did, even when the path is uncertain or uncomfortable. Help me, like Joanna, to walk away from the things that don't serve your purpose or invest
Ooh.
my time, my resources, and influence in things that bring you glory, Father God. May I be faithful in the small things and fear in the big ones, or don't fear the big ones. Lord, teach me
Mm.
to use my voice and uplift you, and use my hands to serve you, and my heart to believe, especially in everything that you are and what you do. In Jesus' name, thank you so much for Asia. Asia, thank you so much for your platform, your faith, and your love for me that pushes me to do exactly what I'm doing and to kind of walk into my faith boldly. So I love you and I thank you so much.
Amen. I love you too. I'm thankful for you being here. This will not be your last time, and I'm just excited. And we will post how you can support Janae and Kiana, Dr. Gant, all those names, same person, in her devotional. And until we will be back next week at 6 o'clock, and we are going to be discussing Anna. And so yeah, I'll see you all soon. Have an amazing week.
Bye.
Bye.